Right, welcome everyone to this meeting of Newcastle under Lyme Borough Council Health, Wellbeing and Environment Scrutiny Committee. We'll get on with our agenda with item 1, which is apologies. I've been made aware of apologies from Councillor Wright and from Councillor Richards. No substitutes identified. Do we have any additional apologies? No, thank you. In that case, item 2 is declarations of interest. Do any members have any declarations of interest they wish to make? No, thank you. Item 3 is minutes of the previous meeting, which are on pages 3 to 8. Are we happy to accept those minutes as accurate? Yes, thank you very much. Item 4 is district and borough health scrutiny activity. The feedback. So was from me. I attended the meeting in July. It was, and I went to the county council to attend the health and wellbeing scrutiny committee. And they had a big agenda about the efficiencies of the integrated care board, and it was fair to say that the county councillors had a lot of questions which they then sent away to the integrated care board to come back with more detail about those efficiencies and how they would affect the services on the front line and in Staffordshire. Also, I've been sent information about work of mental health support teams in the schools, and I've also been invited to a meeting on family hubs in November. So there's plenty of activity going on at county level. Also, our representative from the county council who will attend our meetings is Adam Griffiths, who is in attendance over there. He's our county councillor who's looking after Newcastle, if you like, for the county committee. So that's all. That's it in a nutshell. Are we happy with that update? Yeah. So just yes, Councillor Rees.
I think it'd be good at some point if Adam could, give us a much more kind of detailed kind of breakdown of what was happening. I think that would be really, really kind of useful.
Yeah, I think we'll liaise with Adam and then perhaps have him address the committee at a future stage. Yeah, that'd be. I agree, Councillor Rees.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll move on to item 5, which is the Wally's Quarry odour issues, which are on pages 9 to 32 of the report. It's you, Nesta. Thank you.
It is. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. So the information contained within the report shows the continuing data collected in terms of Wally's Quarry odour issues. As a whole, the report presents an improving situation, but I'll highlight some of the key aspects of the report, which covers the period for June, July and August data. In relation to complaints, that's in section 2.1 of the report, you can see complaints have reduced quite significantly. In June, we had 16 complaints, July 18, August we had 4, and then September to date, we've had 1 complaint. So it is a really good improving situation in relation to that. That's also supported by the odour monitoring. So throughout July, I did 12 monitoring assessments. 3 of those detected landfill gas, but of very low intensity. In August, I completed 10, of which only 1 detected landfill gas, but again at a very low intensity. And those were all supported by our Jerome, our handheld instrument that showed on all those occasions that the hydrogen sulfide levels were at 0.00 parts per billion, basically at an undetectable level. I think the other thing that supports it, obviously, we have the 2 MMFs, the air quality monitoring stations. In relation to the results there, one of the parameters that we've been constantly reporting to you is the percentage exceedance of the WHO odour annoyance level for hydrogen sulfide. And you'll see in the table there, for the last 3 months, it's been 0. Throughout, and that's been maintained. Equally, it has throughout August equally remained at 0%. Just in relation to the EA updates, they're obviously continuing with the works on site to prevent serious pollution, and section 2.15 of your report details the type of works that they are doing. In essence, what they are continuing to do is works in relation to improving the capping on the site. There's some depressions in the surface of the site, so they're remedying those. They've done some works in terms of the leachate and also surface water management. So I hope that actually presents that over the summer period, there has been an improved situation and it continues to do so. And let's hope it continues in that way. I'm happy to take any questions that you do have.
Councillor Wilden.
Thank you, Nesta. Wonderful and succinct as usual. Thank you. Can I just ask a question referring to 1.61, 1.62, 1.6.3? Secretary of State, no response yet been received. Could I ask that that be noted, and do we need to follow that up? Adam Joji, it was a request. God, my computer's gone wrong. It was a request that he play an active role and join calls for a public inquiry. There's been no date. There has to date been no response. Those two are key areas where they should have a significant amount of urgency about them because of what's gone before for years. I'm very dismayed that neither Mr. Reid nor Mr. Joji have actually responded to that at all. I take some cheer from the fact that the Chief Executive of the Environment Agency has responded, but not much because he daren't do any other work, anything else really, because of the dreadful lack of response they did before. So I'd like it noted, and is it appropriate, Chair, that those two non-responses are followed up?
But Nesta, do you want to reply to any of that first?
Thank you. Obviously, I can take that away in terms of those responses. I'm sure that others will equally echo some of those concerns. So I'm happy to take that away and request. Obviously, the letters did come from the leaders, so I can go back and request that on your behalf as well.
Follow up, Councillor Wilden.
Yeah, it's just a subsequent question. The fact that the Environment Agency said that a public meeting would be held at the end of September. We're sort of heading towards the end of September. Do we have any details on that at all?
I don't have any details on that, I'm afraid, but equally I will speak to our colleagues as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And well, I echo the comments you've made, Councillor Wilden. You know, it's the position of, I believe, councils with motions we passed before that we do want a public inquiry to be held as, you know, as a matter of urgency. From conversations I've had, I don't believe that's the position of the MP at this time. However, I do hope that in the future there will be a public inquiry, and it's my personal position that I think it should be as soon as possible, seeing as the immediate threat of the site has passed. It should be something we're making provision for. And Steve Reid, I believe he's now moved on to a different position. Am I right in the case? So will Nesta, the council, be writing to the new Minister for Waste, Landfill, Environment, you know, asking for their position on the matter?
Obviously, that's something, you know, we will do it right to the appropriate minister, and obviously the letter still stands in terms of what we'd requested, so we can do the follow-up to the appropriate minister now.
Could I just add, Chair, that it was the Environment Agency who suggested the meeting at the end of September, and they don't seem to be complying.
All I can say to that, Councillor Wilden, is indeed. Any other councillors have any questions on this? In that case, are we happy to note the contents of the report? Yeah, and thank you, Nesta, for your time and diligence in making this report for us, as always. Right, bear with me because my laptop decided to close down. So I've got the agenda back up here on my backup device. So we're going to go to item 6, which is Civic Pride, Empowering Our Community Strategy, on pages 33 to 56 of the agenda. Oh, thank you very much. Right, who's taking this one? Right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. So the Civic Pride Empowering Our Community Strategy 2025 to 2028. The Civic Pride initiative was launched last year in October in Newcastle Town Centre. The aim of it is to give our communities across the borough the opportunity to get involved in making our borough cleaner, safer and friendlier. That can take all sorts of different forms. It can take the form of community litter picks. It can take the form of people getting involved in projects to plant orchards or plant trees in their communities. and it can take the form of supporting each other in if people are vulnerable and need help in their communities, and people within that community want to help and support them, then that can contribute to civic pride as well. So that was when it was launched back in October. I think since then we've had a civic pride event in pretty much every neighbourhood in the borough. There's a couple more coming up at the end of this month in October in Keele, Madeley and Betley, and Mayor and Whitmore. So by that time we should have covered pretty much the whole borough in the first year of the initiative. Alongside that, the County Council adopted their community strategy earlier this year, I think it was. So to sort of pull all this work together, the Borough Council have now drafted a strategy which mirrors the county's strategy and has 3 key themes. It's great places where we live, connected communities, and how the council talks, acts and listens to its communities. So the idea is that we'll mirror what the county are doing, but make it specific to Newcastle and give our communities the opportunity to get involved in that. We've also launched the Civic Pride Investment Fund, which most of you will know about, and we had round 1 was successfully delivered. 4 projects were awarded grants for that round. The second round closed last Friday, so we're just now looking at the applications for that and awarding the next round, and there'll be a third round in December as well. So there's a financial benefit to this as well, to encourage communities to come forward and get involved and deliver projects in their areas. So to sort of embrace all that, the strategy's been drafted. It has an action plan included in it, which is attached to your report tonight, and we are consulting on it. The consultation's live on the website at the moment. And as well as that, we're bringing this report to all 3 scrutiny committees and inviting the committees to feedback on anything that they feel that they want to in the strategy prior to it being formally adopted later this year. So we're going to finish off the consultation in October with an event in the Guildhall in Newcastle and one in Kidsgrove Town Hall as well to collate all the results. And then, if there's no major changes to what's proposed, formally adopt the strategy in October, November time. So the committee is invited to make comments and provide feedback on that strategy, and I'm happy to take any questions that you've got tonight as well.
Thank you very much. Any councillors have any comments or questions on this? Councillor Wilden, I see you back there. Go ahead.
Thank you. I don't want to hog the place. We've just got stuff to do. Councillor Beeston and myself went to the launch of Civic Pride Thistlebury, and quite a lot of people attended, including our mayor, us as councillors, and there were loads of volunteers. Not only did we litter pick, but went to see the allotments, which have been so overgrown and such a mess. And there are tons of volunteers there, some of whom are the absolute salt of the earth. They're brilliant, doing a super job. I'd just like to highlight, and if somebody could take back my thanks and our thanks to the people from the council who attended, the people from Aspire, the police and so on, who really put a shift in and made the launch of it, so much so that all sorts of other things are planned leading up to Christmas, and that can only be good. So it's just a set of thanks and appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilden, and we appreciated your efforts on the Thistlebury event as well. And actually, just a point that's been very well made there. What we're trying to achieve here is for the community to own this, rather than the council organising events, and saying to the community, "Come and do this, come and do that." We want, as the strategy develops and embeds, we want communities to take ownership of it and do their own thing, and take pride in their borough and in their wards and neighbourhoods as well. So what happened in Thistlebury was a really good example of that, I think. Thank you.
Just a quick question on this. Sorry,
yeah.
on the investment fund. A few residents contacted me around. I suppose what they were saying about the limitations of it, really, because they wanted some work done on the cenotaph in Woolstanton, but obviously they're not a body, they're just a kind of group of people. So, they had a look at the application process and they kind of thought, well, there's no kind of point in, in in applying really, because are there any other kind of routes that we know of, any kind of facility where a group like that could kind of put in a bid?
I mean, it's obviously because we're dealing with public money, the groups have to be constituted and have a bank account. So I understand, that sometimes you just get a group of volunteers who want to do the right thing and do a project. But I think if they did manage to get themselves together and become constituted and get a bank account, I think that's a route into to accessing the fund. Outside of that, we can do things like, and what we have done, instead of providing financial grant assistance, we can provide equipment, like bags, litter pickers, anything, odd tools, bits and pieces like that. So if people wanted to do a project to tidy up the cenotaph, that might be another route for them. But I think getting constituted and getting a bank account, I know it's for community groups, sometimes that can feel a bit, hard work, but it's worth it, I think, in the end.
Councillor Wilden.
If there's any money left in the kitty, we were a bit slow off the mark. Do you take any late applications?
At the moment, December is going to be the last one, so we'll review it there and see if there's anything left. I mean, as I say, there was over 5,000 given out in round one. There's 22,000 in total in the kitty. So what's that? 16. So roughly 8,000 for the next two rounds.
It's just that a potential small project has come up post the deadlines, and I wouldn't want to miss the opportunity of at least putting a bid in.
Yeah, as I say, there is another round, so it'll be a December deadline. So that'll be the next opportunity for people to bid.
I wait with eagerness the email that tells me what to do.
Okay.
I'll just add, favoring some of the comments there, our thanks to all who took part in the Civic Pride events. I think it's been really successful. Mentioned the one in Thistlebury there, and I know it's been all across the borough. I attended one in Silverdale, which was also a real good example of like community engagement, and it's fair to say it sort of inspired people in the area who then, so what's going on, I'll join in, I'll help out. And it was really good to see, the council leading from the front, but also volunteers joining in and really making an effort for the community. I think just having that sort of initiative really made people take pride in it, and it was great to see like the police getting involved, and they were like tagging bikes of people. I know Councillor Heatham came along and had hers done. Yeah, and lots of local children were stopping and getting theirs done. I thought it was just a really good connection of different services, and it was really good to see. And I was talking to some town and some county councils in Shropshire, and they saw some of the pictures of what we'd done in Newcastle, and they said that's a really good initiative. We need to do something like that over here. So it was great to see that other councils looking at us and going, wow, they're really taking civic pride seriously. So yeah, really happy with this strategy so far. So well done to all involved.
Thank you.
Members, we do have a recommendation that we consider the draft strategy and we provide feedback. I think we've given some fairly positive feedback and our thoughts there. So if we're happy with this draft strategy, unless there's any further comments, members, are we happy that we've considered the draft strategy and that we note our feedback in advance of its adoption? Yes? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. So we are going on to the review of the Task and Finish, the Parks Task and Finish Working Group final report, which is pages 57 to 64. So you may recall that we set this up through a vote a while ago, and then the Task and Finish Group has been meeting, attended several meetings, ably chaired by Councillor Wilden, and the report was then finalised, and now we're going to have a look, and hopefully it'll all be approved. But yeah, so yeah, I know you know it inside out, Councillor Wilden. So who's presenting this? Thank you.
Good evening, councillors. Hopefully you've all had a chance to read the report and read it in its entirety. I've no intention of going through it in complete detail. I'll try and do a summarised version as best I can over the next few minutes or so. So, as has been introduced, it was a cross-party task and finish group, and it's a group that almost forensically went through our play offer in terms of what we do, not just on children's playgrounds, but all the other sporting provision that the Borough Council offers or enables its communities to access. One of the early decisions that the group made was to concentrate on children's play facilities and the play provision that we've got. So that was in relation to the quality of provision, its location, safety inspection regimes, looking at insurance claims that had come through over the past few years, and the data and intelligence that we hold on our playgrounds, or rather the lack of data and intelligence that we hold on our playgrounds, and how that links through our repairs and maintenance regime as well. All that then it can be used to improve our intelligence around antisocial behaviour and damage done to the playgrounds once we're in a position to collate that information. So what we did is basically recognise that our playground provision is quite old. So the vast majority of our playground provision is around about 20 to 25 years old. That said, vast majority of it is robust and it is good and it is fit for purpose. What we looked at quite early on was looking at a potential painting programme to enhance the product that we've currently got, to encourage young families, young children to actually use the facilities that we've got, rather than them becoming a focus for antisocial behaviour because they're not physically attractive. So we've looked at that as one of the main drivers, and that'll be one of the recommendations in terms of looking at the budget availability that we have for playgrounds. There's currently around about £90,000 that's held in the capital budget, and what we're recommending is that budget is delegated to the Director of Environmental Sustainability or myself, so we can actually make quick actions on those playgrounds that need that quick intervention and that quick improvement. What we have been doing over the past 18 months to 2 years is treading into or stepping into a programme of painting improvements to playgrounds, and we've very much focused initially on green flag parks, so strategic parks that we've got. Obviously they've got the highest footfall, and we've also had some feedback from the green flag judges in terms of the need to improve those play facilities. So we've actually focused in on them first, and we're starting to spread a little bit further in terms of the knowledge base that we do have in relation to the usage of playgrounds and their locations. So that painting programme has commenced. We go through a process of engaging with small painters and decorators, small one-man bands or two-man bands, and that's specifically to get really good value for money rather than go to the larger regional or national companies. So far, that's worked pretty well for us. What I alluded to earlier on was around our lack of intelligence in relation to our playgrounds. So at the minute, we do weekly inspections of playgrounds, and we also do an annual ROSPA inspection, which is an external assessment of the safety of the playgrounds. What we've recently undertaken is a process of reviewing the market in terms of software applications, so we can more adequately manage our playgrounds, build up intelligence, build up information around those maintenance hungry playgrounds, so we know where a lot of our attention, a lot of our resources are going, so we can appropriately tackle those playgrounds and tackle those more effectively. That software has been purchased, and we're currently plotting those playgrounds at the moment, and we'll build up that data and that information over the next few months, and then we'll start using it. The software that we've purchased is called Easy Asset, and the reason I mention that is because we also have EasyTreeve. The EasyTreeve database has proven to be exceptionally successful for us, and this is another arm of that company, so we've got full confidence in the particular product. Having additional information around the playgrounds and being able to demonstrate that they are safe and they are managed effectively will reduce our exposure to litigation claims that we do have on a reasonably regular basis. So the intention or the hope will be, because we've got decent information around those playgrounds and we can demonstrate that they're safe, that we can demonstrate that they're inspected on a frequent basis and they're repaired on a frequent basis, is then we can mitigate against any litigation claim that comes knocking on our door. The intention is to undertake a 3 to 4 year painting programme, and again, once we're in a position where we're drawing down the data from the software, as that will guide us through the process of which areas to target first. So in terms of the report, there's just 3 recommendations. first recommendation is about delegating that budget that I've mentioned to the Director of Environmental Sustainability or myself, and that'll enable us to tackle those playgrounds more swiftly in terms of getting them repaired and getting them up to a decent standard. Also received the information in relation to the Easy Asset software that we've purchased. Again, that's currently developing, and also to support the premise of undertaking a 3 to 4 year painting programme within those children's playground areas. Willing to take any questions or comments in relation to the process that we've undertaken.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rees.
Darren. I think it's a really great idea about trying to get the 1-2-man band decorators. How confident are we in terms of take-up of that? And whether it be financially viable for them?
It is financially viable for them. What we've done over the past 18 months is gone to regional contractors, asked them to tender, asked them to provide quotations for us, and then we've targeted a small number of small-scale painters and decorators. And the cost difference has been quite significant. So that's basically sparked our interest more in that local provision of the service. So there's a risk factor there in terms of procuring the services locally with a small firm, or if we can spread it amongst 2 or 3 local providers, I think we have to mitigate that risk for ourselves.
So just one more question as well. Just 2.7, the second paragraph, around the 11 playgrounds have been identified in need of immediate refurbishment. Where are they? Do we know?
I have a list. I can share them with you afterwards if you wish, rather than me going through the list. The ones that we've identified have come back through complaints that we've had from local residents through to the engineers, our playground inspectors, who've come back and basically identified them as being in particularly poor condition. Yeah.
Councillor Northcott.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Darren, for the report. I think this is a good report. I'm pleased to see that there's a contingency built into this, because my experience when playgrounds have been identified, there's a potential risk there because maybe it needs repair or there's been vandalism, that parents that use these facilities with their children are not always appreciative as to why it's been closed, or they see it as a facility that's been shut. So anything that sort of streamlines the efficiency in terms of getting it back into action again, I think is to be welcomed, and I thank the council for putting that in place, and the 90,000, especially the contingency of the capital programme, put in place to give refurbishment and speedy repairs, I think is to be welcomed. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
Councillor Wheeldon.
I thank everybody for praising the report. If I could just make the comment that one of the things that we looked at every time there was a number of playgrounds referred to, and this will be some comfort to my friend at the front here, is that we were provided with a map which cited every single one of them. That then led us into another area, because what we did realise as a group, and it was a small group and we all had to work jolly hard because there was only a few of us, that it was fortunate that, Rupert, you were involved in this. We were on other committees, which actually, instead of being in a silo, we could bring the information to this and actually make it part of the report. So, for example, the point at 2.3 in this report, talking about Staffordshire Police and antisocial behaviour, I think Rupert and I had both been on that committee where we were looking at that with the police. And of course, a lot of that takes place in parks and recreation areas because they're bored. And, you know, let's go down the wreck and have a bit of fun, throw some bottles about. The other thing was looking at the idea of signage. And that's the that's the previous law experience of mine. I said, if you put a sign up and they don't comply with it, you are less culpable. So those things, not working in a silo and bringing on board stuff that applied from other committees was incredibly useful, I thought. And it probably is something I'm highlighting just so that people are aware of it and could perhaps take it into their particular realms. I can't thank you enough for your input as well. Thank you very much. It was really appreciated.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the only thing I would add is that it'd be great once if we adopt this, that we then we hopefully share it with the parish councils around the borough, because I know a lot of them take a lot of interest in the local parks, and a lot of them are people they work with and contractors they work with themselves who might be interested in helping out with some of these recommendations. So that'd be great to do.
I think that was something that, as someone who was a member of the parish council asked, could that be shared?
Yes, fantastic. So are there any other comments, members? No. So there is recommendations that basically we adopt these recommendations and that they go to Cabinet or Council. So all in favour of adopting the recommendations of the Task and Finish group? Yep. Thank you very much. Your work on that one is done, Councillor Wheeldon.
Should I have an interest?
Oh, you're the chair of it. It's you should say I'm proud of this report. It's brilliant. So we go to item 8, which is the review of the Animal Welfare Charter, which I know was requested a while ago when we adopted it through this committee. This will be given as a verbal update. Yes, thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so the Animal Welfare Charter was adopted, I think, earlier this year.
12 months.
Was it all time flies? And I think it's important to remember that the Charter is a sort of statement of the Council's support for animal welfare rather than a action plan or a delivery plan that has a work streams attached to it. So in terms of an update on it, the Charter is still live. There's been some small things that have been done in the interim, like writing to all the allotment holders when the annual billing went out, just to say, please be aware that using pesticides and chemicals can be harmful to animals. So if you can minimise that use, that would help to contribute to animal welfare. And of course, the Council's other statutory duties around animal welfare continue, things like licensing of boarding kennels and riding establishments and so on, the stray dog function. So all of that's going ahead with the Animal Welfare Charter at the forefront of our minds. But other than that, there's not much else to update the committee on. As I say, it's still a live document. The Council still supports animal welfare, but we must remember that the real sort of powers and duties around neglect and cruelty and so on sit with bodies like the police and the RSPCA. And of course, if we as officers and members became aware of any issues, we would report them through to the relevant bodies for action to be taken. Okay, Chair.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very proud of the work the committee did on establishing the Animal Welfare Charter and the goldfish motion that we put past, and then that just spiralling into the Animal Welfare Charter. I thought it was a good piece of work. But do we have any questions or comments on this? No, just other than that, I think it's been a good piece of work, and thank you again for putting that together and giving us that little update. So we'll go to item 9, which is the Community Safety Partnership on pages 65 to 80. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So, this report is basically there's two things really. It does a look back at 2024-25 and the work of the Community Safety Partnership there, and then a look ahead to the current financial year that we're in. We're sort of halfway through it already now, aren't we? And look at how the priorities have slightly changed and what we're doing about those now. Members will be aware that the Community Safety Partnership is the statutory duty for the Council. It's the one piece of statutory duty that came out of the local strategic partnerships, and it places a duty on us to work with partners, the police being the main partner, to produce a community safety action plan and implement actions to try and improve community safety and tackle crime and antisocial behaviour in the borough. So we've got a really successful partnership with Staffordshire Police. made even stronger by being co-located in this building. I mean, that's been a massive benefit to be co-located with police colleagues, to be able to share intel and have regular meetings to discuss problems that can quite quickly come up and need to be tackled. And we have, really good relationships with the police and other partners like Aspire and the County Council as well. So to set the kind of scene for community safety each year, the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner's Office commissions the strategic assessment, which looks at crime data across the borough and across Staffordshire each year, and identifies where the priorities are, where the sort of hotspots are, and different types of crime in ASB that are on the up and need to be tackled. And we can then work as a partnership to actually pull resources and prioritise resources into tackling those things. And we're doing that very successfully. And I think the first part of the report, the look back at 24-25, again shows that across nearly all crime and ASB types, that the trend is reducing, which is good news, and testament to the good work that's being done by partners in that. So that was 24-25. The current year that we're in, there was a slight shift. I mean, the priorities tend to be very similar each year, but there's been a slight shift, an increase locally in things like shoplifting, stalking and harassment, and unfortunately domestic abuse as well. So again, the partnership then sort of pivots and tries to put together plans and resources to tackle those. And that's assisted by the funding that we get from the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner. We've got 82,000 for this financial year, which has then been divided up into projects aiming to tackle those priorities. And we've commissioned those projects now, and they're up and running and live for the rest of this year. And again, what we tend to see is, and part of that funding is a sort of reactive pot that's deployed by the Joint Operations Group, so that if there are issues that spike in communities, we can quite quickly try and put some resource into that to try and tackle it and deal with it. And again, it's data-based, so we'll quite often get communities coming forward and saying we've got an issue in a particular community with a particular thing. And what we say is, right, okay, keep reporting that. We need to build up that evidence base and compare it to other areas to determine how much of a priority it actually is within the sort of limited resources that we've got. And at the moment, the hotspot areas in the borough are the town wards in Newcastle, Bradwell, Chesterton and Kidsgrove. So they tend to be the areas that we focus on as a partnership. So I think that's a brief summary of the update report, and I'm happy to take any questions from members.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from members? Councillor Rees?
Hi, thanks for that, Roger. I mean, it's great to see the reduction, the trend in a reduction. That's really, really good. Just a question around the serious violence against women and girls, because I know there was an NPC, the National Chief Police Council and the College of Police, and there was a specific strategy, I think the year before last, around this issue. I'm wondering whether some of this kind of reduction is as a consequence really of that strategy in terms of better targeting of resources. Is that something we know, or?
Thanks, Councillor Rees. Yeah, in a nutshell, I mean, obviously the police respond to this as well as the council do, and they run operations that we're maybe not quite as involved in because it's policing, but they do, certainly in the conversations that we have with the chief inspector locally, he keeps us up to date on operations and strategy from the police, and it has been a focus, as you say, and thankfully it seems to be working.
It's still kind of shocking numbers, aren't they, when you see them here, but yeah. Nevertheless, I think 10% reduction in Newcastle is is really good to to read and hear.
Yeah, and alongside the police operations, we do things like the safe space for women and girls that's in the Iron Market and open and staffed by volunteers on a Friday night, and all the other work that we do around the street medics and engagement with the nighttime economy sector to try and reduce that further.
Okay, Councillor Wheeldon.
Just a comment, way back in 2011, which was the last time I worked at the University of Wolverhampton, this is not a recent thing, it's ongoing. We had to phone down to get a caretaker to escort us from the building, which by then would, you know, if you're working late till 9 o'clock was quite dark, to the car park, which was down an alleyway, just past the, what is it where you gamble? What do you call it? Casino. That's right. So it was ongoing then. I believe from friends who still work there. It's a shame. It's actually got even worse now. So it's a growing phenomenon that has to be, you have to be vigilant, but it does take place much worse elsewhere.
Councillor Rees.
Thank you. Another question I had, I forgot to mention. Just in terms of the knife crime awareness and the knife ones, do we know how many, do we have data on how many kind of knives have been kind of voluntarily deposited?
I haven't got it to hand, but I'll find out and let you know. But on knife crime, it's worth saying that although knife crime is an issue, it tends to be more people carrying knives and bladed weapons rather than using them. Now, obviously, carrying them comes with the risk of ultimately using them. But I think in Newcastle, you know, so far, the actual use of knives and bladed weapons has not been a big issue. But obviously the work that we do with knife wands and amnesties. And
that's what I kind of wanted to understand, really, how big of an issue was it?
Yeah,
And,
so it is an issue in terms of people carrying them.
Yeah.
It hasn't resulted yet in actual, you know, incidents of them being used.
Yeah. So that's a fantastic initiative, isn't it, really, in preventing that kind of potential next step of violence.
Yeah, and I think alongside that, there's work goes on in some of our schools as well around not just knife crime, but the sort of respect agenda to women and girls, you know, particularly with young males, to try and sort of get that message across early about, you know, what to some young men can seem like a bit of fun and a joke can actually be very intimidating to women and girls, and it's that sort of behavioural change that we need to try and focus on.
Councillor Barker.
I'd just like to make a comment. I didn't like it when you said Cheston, obviously, because I've been around there a good many years. But we've had the local youth club closed. I wondered what effect that had on, and different buildings like that, which cost an awful lot of money and now aren't being used at all. Is there any update on any of that?
I don't know, Councillor Barker. I don't believe the buildings that you're talking about were Borough Council owned facilities. Were they?
No, they're not.
No.
County.
Right. So I don't know. I'm not aware of what the plan is.
The youth club had closed, and certain parts of other educational sites had packed in.
Lillian, it's a county council function. To be quite honest, it's not something that we've got any control over. And while I agree with you that, you know, there should be more youth provision, that isn't something that the Borough Council deals with. So really, that's something that needs to be taken up with the county council.
Yeah, I will do that, because people are coming and saying, you know, we are going to have more naughties on the streets because they've got no youth club now. But I believe it was funding money, why they've closed the youth club. You see, I've always worked hard and got them the money, but I'm not doing it now. So they'll have to look for their own.
I was going to say, Councillor Barker, there is a project which is funded with the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner money for youth diversionary activities. The Dizzy Heights group who do the sort of DJ workshops and whatnot, and they have been run in Chesterton and Kidsgrove. So I'm not sure where the venue is. If it's not, if that youth club that you're talking about is closed down, presumably we've found another venue somewhere else where we can run that activity. So that is part of the plan for the remainder of this financial year.
Councillor Diamond.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to say, Roger, we've just started one in Kidsgrove. We've got one in Cloughall Park, and we've now got one at Kidsgrove Athletic. They give us the room for free, and we volunteers pop along on a Thursday night for 2 hours. The first night we had 60 children. We're averaging about 30 to 35 now, but it's run by volunteers, and we have to go out and get funding, and Tesco's is my next drop in for doing that. So we are getting them out of the parks, especially at this time of the year now, and getting them into a venue. So we're hoping, fingers crossed, we keep getting the volunteers and the funds.
That'll help us.
Sorry, it's just a question. Is that the one that the police have been working with? Yeah.
Councillor Wheeldon.
I take on board exactly what Councillor Barker has said. Whilst I understand it's a county matter, there's nothing to stop us in sending a little memoir, perhaps, to them, because the demise of the youth club has actually exacerbated how much vandalism, naughtiness, wreckage goes on. I mean, I'm 105 years old, so I grew up with the whole idea of youth clubs, and you had to do some sort of athletic pursuit, even if it was only darts or table tennis, to get the ticket that got you to the dance on a Friday night. So it was a double whammy. It got you entertained in something, and it got you attending something that was almost marshalled, if you like, rather than policed at the dance. If you don't have that facility, you are going to get them hanging around in groups. You are going to get them in the parks. You are going to get them in the town centres being bored. Let's smash something up. So whilst I do understand it's a county matter, I don't think it would do any harm if someone from the appropriate department actually raised it and said to county, can you have another look at this? Or just do an evaluation of how much it's increased since the demise of the youth club, because that gives you accurate data and evidence to show whether it's something that should be considered to be brought back, even if on, like Councillor Diamond said, on a funded or supported by sponsors basis. I think it would be an interesting piece of work to do. Just a thought.
I'd agree with what you're saying, because, you know, it is a gap in provision. As I say, we're all aware that it's something that the county should be providing, but over the years have cut back on. Whether that's to do with what funding they've had, I'm not too sure. But it also comes down to, as well, I think, the kind of volunteers that you get for these organisations and what they're offering, because the one at Kidsgrove sounds like it's doing really well. But I'm also aware of a group at Clayton that were trying to open one up in one of the community centres there. And they went out to the local youth to ask them what kind of things they'd want to do. And it was quite a negative response in what they wanted, the things that you weren't going to provide. Initially, they were saying that they just wanted to basically, are they going to provide alcohol? Are they going to provide, you know, that kind of thing? Like, no, that's not actually what it's about. So I think a lot depends on where it is. The young people that you're targeting or trying to get involved, and of course, you know, you've got to get quite a good group of volunteers to run it, because, like you say, it is about funding. And, you know, I say, sounds like you're going all over the place trying to raise the funds. Yeah.
Councillor Wheeldon.
Just an addendum to what Councillor Heatham, and thank you for being so supportive of the idea. Somebody needs to send a memo. Don't know whether that would be you, Rupert, or not. You're chairing. Off you go. But I'm thinking about my 40-year-old electrician, bless him, who's rewired my house top to bottom more than once. He goes to this club somewhere in the depths of Hanley, which nobody wants to go to Hanley, I know that. And they have what they call a board club. There is nothing electronic except the pub, probably the pint puller in there, where they actually play board games, and it's becoming quite a revolutionary thing. And these sort of 30 to 40-year-olds are actually playing board games, God help them. We're trying to set one up, aren't we, at the, on, oh, you do, yes, you do know about it. At Steph's, where they can do board games, say, once a month, because it's very active for the older generation and so on. So that sort of thing, you know, you have to sort of think outside the box a bit, not just what the old youth clubs gave. So it might be an idea, but I think we need to prompt county. Thank you, Rupert.
Just thanks, Chair. Might be an idea to sort of float this to the Joint Operations Group, because the County Council are represented on that group along with Skivvies, the Staffordshire Council for Voluntary Youth Services, and maybe get a bit of feedback from that group on Chesterton and what the issues are there, and and if there's a but I mean, Chesterton's obviously been raised as a hotspot, so maybe focusing on the hotspots to find out, you know, what's caused the spikes and what's being done about it.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, I think the sad thing for me and a lot of community people is the building is a beautiful building and it's now standing empty. And I feel, you know, we worked hard to get these buildings and now we ain't got them, so to speak. So I'll do all I can to talk to the youngsters, but of course they need youth club leaders. There's all sorts of things, isn't there? So, thank you.
Thank you, members. I think it's it's an issue that a lot of agencies and people are waking up to, the issue of youth provision, and it does very much, as people have said, require having people who are willing to really put in the hours and lead it, and often do it on a voluntary basis, and that is tough to find, as well as finding the appropriate funding. But I know that there's lots of people out there who do brilliant work and do all they can, but what you mentioned about the joint operations groups also sounds like a good idea, Roger. I would just like to mention, going back to the report here about the drug-related offences, although it says it's up by 43%, I do in a way welcome that, because the drug dealing, a lot of people can tell you where it happens, and when. In Newcastle, a lot of people know that it's not that well hidden in many cases, and so I kind of welcome the police taking a much more active approach to searching and stopping and going to these hotspots where drugs are dealt with. And then we're seeing more, possession offences and things, because it's making clear to those that this isn't tolerated in the town. Because when it gets to the point where people are starting to deal openly, then that's when the police rightly are making a step up in targeting this and starting to charge people for possession. So I do actually welcome welcome the increase, although I think it's drug-related offences are a big problem and increasing problem across the country. It's right that they've got this as a priority. So I do welcome that, and I do hope that this targeting of the stopping and the searching across Staffordshire will lead to some results.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, exactly as you've said, the numbers are up because the police are having such a focus on it, which is good news, because it is an issue that needs to be cracked, really. So, long may it continue. Thanks.
Any further comments, questions from councillors? No. We've got two recommendations: that we receive the report and note the successful outcomes achieved, and that we receive and note the updated local crime police plan in line with their assessment priorities. So all in favour of accepting both those recommendations, please? Yeah, thank you very much. So we are now looking at Item 10, work programme, which is on page 81 to 84. Okay. Have any councillors got any comments on the work programme? Other than that, Craig will liaise with county to try and get sort of more detailed update, working with Adam perhaps about the work of the scrutiny committee at county level. Apart from that, anything other comments on the work programme? Councillor Wheeldon.
It's just, sorry, it's just that September date. I'm sorry to harp on about it. The Environment Agency said there'd be an inquiry in September. Whether that would be something that you'd put in here to trigger a response or not, I don't know.
I think we'll get Nesta on that, and we'll get her to get in touch with the EA and say, when is this happening? Because you set a deadline and it's not going to be achieved.
Their deadline, not ours.
Yeah, indeed. So I think we'll get Nesta on that one. She can chase that up.
And then we can perhaps add it to this work schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry to harp on about it, but people do these things. They give you a date that's miles away in the hope that you'll go away and forget about it. Well, we don't.
Yes. Okay, if there are, yeah, Councillor Rees, go ahead. Yes.
Just one more. Do we have any update on the, the former A53 busgate scheme?
I admire your persistence in asking about each meeting, and I wish I had an answer for you, but as far as I know, it's not happening and there's no further update on it unless someone wants to correct me on that. No?
I'm not, Nesta has been the sort of lead officer on that chair, so maybe we can ask that question of her. I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything recently, so.
Yeah, it'd be good if we could just get to the point where we could draw a definite line under it.
Bury it and
yeah.
Yes, but keep asking Councillor Rees, and then we'll get a full answer for you. But yeah, haven't had any update on that, I'm afraid. Okay, we're happy to accept the work programme then as it is. Yep, thank you very much. So we'll go to the last item, which is, oh no, there's a public question time, but I haven't been made aware of any submitted questions. Item 12, urgent business, of which I've not been made aware of any. So item 13 is the date of next meeting, which will be held on the 24th of November, 2025. And that concludes our agenda for tonight. Thank you all for your participation and attendance, and have a good evening.